What are the keys to youthful vitality? That's the topic we're going to address today on Flourish-Meant. I'm your host, Tina Yeager. Today I have a special guest and a good friend that I've known for a very long time, Susan Neal. She has a master's in health science and an MBA, and she's an RN. And she's here to share with us from her newest book, 12 Ways to Age Gracefully, How to Look and Feel Younger. Welcome back, Susan. I'm always delighted to have a conversation with you.
Well, thanks so much, Tina. You look beautiful today.
Oh, well, thank you so much. And part of our looking good is really about how we feel and having the energy to live our best. It's not about worldly standards of what makes us glow. It's about the internal things that give us the glow, that give us the smile, that give us the quality of life that we then share in the way that we relate to others. So can you talk about how we can actually do that even as we're facing the challenges that come along with aging?
Yeah. Part of it is our attitude and our mental outlook. Your cup can either be half full or half empty. Sometime back, about a decade ago, this 700 acres behind my home, what used to be a big field of cotton, and now it's a ball field, and the lights are on till 10, 11 at night, and you have the bats hitting the balls and all. And so us who live around that, we could either have an attitude that's negative. Oh my gosh, what a mess. We don't like all that sound. The lights are terrible. Or we could have a positive attitude and listen to those families roar, listen to those kids. They're having so much fun. Doesn't it remind you of when your kids are younger? So a lot of it is attitude and gratitude, taking time daily I like to go out onto my back porch, watch the sunset, and just talk with the Lord and say, okay, thank you. And I list 3 different things to thank Him for today. That brings joy to your heart.
I love that because gratitude is really key to our mental health and our physical health. What are some of your favorite things about developing this 12 keys process that you found as meeting the needs that you saw in your life?
It is the divine purpose. When we have a divine purpose in life, whether it is teaching our children about the Lord or to instill biblical values into our grandchildren, for me, it's inspiring others to improve their health so they can serve God better. For someone else, it might be they're volunteering at a youth group or, for Boy Scouts or it goes on and on with all the different divine tasks that God gives us. And so when we're working on those, it gives us purpose. It makes us feel energized. We're not getting up with nothing to do and watching TV. We're getting up, we got tasks to do. And it also brings us joy, having a divine purpose.
I love the divine purpose, of course, because that's one of my favorite things to talk about. I also love that you're tackling this from a holistic perspective, where you're not just looking at physical health, but you're also looking at the spiritual and emotional well being and relational well being, as you're talking about with purpose, because purpose is about how we relate to the world and our connections with other people. Can you talk about why you chose this holistic approach to aging gracefully?
Because we are multifaceted beings. You know, we have, we're spirit, which is going to live on with the Lord. Our physical bodies are going to die. That's just the way God made us to be. But while we are here on earth, we should take care of our physical bodies. But part of that is also our attitude and our mind, and also what we consume, what we eat and what we drink, or even the things we view in our mind that can affect our emotions. Um, Food, beverages, and watching things that are not, good for us, horror movies or whatever scares us to death. I used to say to my daughters, If you're having, nightmares after as a teenager went and watched some movie that was scary, then those are things we shouldn't put in our minds.
So, whatever we take in any form, holistically, is going to affect how we are experiencing life and what we give to others as well. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, because also, if you eat or drink like high sugar, high carbohydrate foods or beverages, and your sugar is high, your insulin comes, it drops down, and you become irritable. It makes you grumpy. And so for the people who are around you, they're going to get an irritable you instead of a happy, joyful person.
And it'll affect your productivity as well, because if you're fatigued or if you have brain fog because of eating and drinking the wrong things, that can affect how well you fulfill your calling, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
What are some of the key culprits that you see when you do your research and when you're developing the content for your books that people need to be most aware of?
Was something that I really was surprised about was the toxins in our environment. We have a lot of toxins. I mean, plastics, are one of them. And there are, chemicals that are sprayed on our foods that are, not healthy for us, the pesticides, the herbicides. And like the European Union has banned 1,600 different chemicals. And of those 1,600, the United States has only banned nine. And so we come into contacts, our bodies with these different toxic substances. It could lead to different diseases. It could affect our brains in the future for dementia. And so it's something I found that was just really so simply profound is that God gave us a natural detoxification method, which is sweating. So get out there and garden and plant your, pretty flowers or whatever, or lay out in the sun and get your 20 minutes of sun and do things to sweat. Go walk and when you do sweat, you want to take a shower immediately afterwards, remove those toxins from your body. And that's how God made us to detoxify.
So we detox by sweating and by drinking more water so that we're processing all of that out. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, yes. See what health club in your town or city might have an infrared sauna, or what does the YMCA have one? So go to a sauna and you do sweating that way, and you sweat a lot quicker. You only need to be in there like 20 minutes.
That is fascinating. So, what are some other things that we need to be aware of with regard to the toxins that are in our environment that we need to avoid? Is there a specific one or two that we really need to pay attention to here in the United States?
Well, they recently found in the blood of a mother and the newborn baby that there were the plastics or plasticizers in the blood. So we want to think of, okay, what food or what beverage touches plastic? So as you're going through your day, do you use, a plastic cup with a hot beverage? Do you store your food in plastic containers versus glass containers with the plastic resealable lids? Do you store frozen food in, like plastic bags? Or what I do is I put it in mason jars because that's glass. Plastic was not really widespread in our world till like the 1950s. And thereafter, they became, predominant. But I remember getting milk in a jar with the milkman coming and dropping it off at the front door within the jars, not plastic.
I did not know that you could freeze glass without risk of breaking it, so that's really fascinating.
If you have soups or stews or liquid, you want to leave a good inch because the soup or the stew will expand. And if you leave a good inch of space to where it's not completely full, and then you put the lid on, then it doesn't break the jar. But if you fill it up to the top, you'll have a broken jar.
Great tips. So, we're going to get into more specifics on this in the second half of our conversation. But for now, can you share with the audience how people can stay connected with you and get a copy of your newest book?
Sure, they can reach me at my website, susanuneal.com. That's Susan, the letter U, and my last name is Neal, Neal.com.
I hope that all of you listening were inspired and informed about how to age gracefully and not be afraid. And of course, I also hope that you hit subscribe and come back for the next episode of Flourish-Meant.